Hello, you're welcome to The Point of View. The Point of View is your favorite current affairs program on television. On The Point of View, we bring the right guests, select the right topics as the relevant questions, and we often leave you with some insight. Tonight is a big one. We are counting down to the NPP's destiny-changing delegates conference, where the party is expected to elect a flag bearer to face John Mahama and others in the 2024 election. The road to this particular conference has not been very smooth. There was one casualty, if you put it that way. Alan Tremantin had to withdraw from the race and resign from the party, forming his own movement, call it a movement for change, which he believes is what the people of Ghana need now, because in his view, people are tired of political parties and we need a leader. It makes it now a two-horse race. Kennedy Agyapong, who many never thought could reach this far, and establishment candidate, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. People don't like to be referred to as establishment candidate, but he is a man a lot of the people in the establishment appear to be gravitating towards. That is what we're looking at today. What will happen on November 4? How is the campaign going for the two sides? What will happen after November 4? Many have said that is a make or break for the NPP. Is that true? That is our discussion tonight. I will take a short break, return, introduce my guest. We'll get a discussion. And my name is Selorm Adonoo. The show is live and interactive, sitting in for a regular host. I'll be right back. All right, you're welcome back to The Point of View. We're happy you were able to join us. We would also like to hear from you by way of messages on our WhatsApp line, which will be displayed on the screen, so we can have an interactive session. Tonight is a big one for the New Patriotic Party. They are preparing for the November 4 conference, which will elect one of four candidates to lead a party into election 2024. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, Vice President, Kennedy Agyapong, Member of Parliament for Assin Central, Francis Addai Nimoh, Senior Member of the Party, and Dr. Afriyie Akoto, former Agric Minister. These are the choices before the over 200,000 delegates, and voting will take place across the country. And we understand that later in the evening of Saturday, November 4, there will be a big rally at the Accra Sports Stadium to outdoor the winner of that particular contest. So the NPP has been preparing for this for the last 2 years. The candidates have been crisscrossing the country, selling their messages to the delegates. Decision time is on Saturday, and are there really delegates who are undecided, or they've all made up their minds? Tonight, to help us do the discussion, three persons. Dennis Miracles Aboagye, who is a member of the Bawumia campaign team. That's a lot of communication work for that particular team. Dennis, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
We also have Oliver Amoako, who is also a member of the Kennedy Agyapong campaign team. Oliver, you are welcome to the program as well.
Thank you very
And we
much.
also have a leading member of the NPP, Dr. Kennedy, who has views on many things that happen in the party. He will also be joining us from his base in the United States. Doc, you are also welcome. So, gentlemen, I mean, it's been quite an interesting journey. It's been quite an interesting race, right from the August contest, where we saw the showdown in words, and then later on, Alan Tremantin withdrawing from the race and resigning. And in fact, before that, I think Aboagye also withdrew from the race because he said he did not see the point in being in a race like that. So many things have happened. It does appear that the NPP will have a lot of work to do after the conference or the Congress. NDC calls it Congress, you guys call it conference, right? Yeah. So let me start off with you, Dennis. I mean, your candidate is the Vice President. What really has been his message to the people? It must be very difficult running, a vision for somebody and now trying to chart your own path. It must be very difficult or interesting, let me say, for him. What has been his central theme, the central theme of his campaign?
Thank you, Selorm. I don't think it's difficult at all. The Vice President, in the last 14 to 16 weeks thereabouts, is engaged all 16 regions and 276 constituencies. He wrapped it up yesterday, and we're very, very grateful to the hundreds of thousands of party people who made time to hear him out. His engagement with the party delegates has been hinged on two legs. Of course, the first leg has to do with your qualification, first of all, as a party person. Mm-hmm. It's an honor for you to become the leader of the party or a flag bearer of the party. And so you first of all need to convince the party people that you are deserving of that honor. And so that conversation needs to happen first before any other thing. And in that conversation, of course, the party people hear the Vice President talk about his commitment to the party, his unflinching dedication to the cause of the NPP, the amount of personal value that he brings to the electoral fortunes of the party, which is backed by data and backed by the electoral records. Key of them being the fact that the non-traditional areas of the party, ever since Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia came to our front line, have seen a lot of improvement by the NPP. I mean, if you look at the northern part of Ghana, let me simply take the greater northern region, when we used to have about 31 seats, and the NDC had close to about 28 of these seats, and the NPP had barely 7 or 8, if I recall correctly. Today, it's 10. Today, the NPP has 16.
Do you attribute that to him?
Of course.
Really? Because, I thought it is the individual effort of various people. So when you look at the breakdown, for example, I mean, we have certain young individuals or individuals who have resources, who are popular in the area, who have done quite some work, and so have ridden on to victory on their own merit. So look at a place like Gushegu, for example. You have the former MPA gentleman, now Deputy Transport Minister. His name is just escaping me. The Deputy Transport Minister. Tampuli. He is there. And we know the work he did in the area, and so the people rewarded him. We know about Karaga, Anta. He's done a lot of work in the area. We know about Samuel Abujinapo. He's always wanted the Damongo city, put in a lot of effort as Deputy Chief of Staff. We know the job he did there. Many of the places like that. So those places really did not have a Bawumia flavor. It so happened that, he now is in the north, or coming from the north, and his guys are doing well. But these are due to individual efforts.
All of them, and they will tell you the same thing. It's about leadership. It's about responsibility. It's about the mandate. It's about the task that the party would give you at every point in time. Definitely. So
that is about Bawumia.
Definitely. And
not individual efforts by the persons.
It's about the mandate. It's about the responsibility. It's about leadership. Once you have the leadership responsibility, it's about how you mobilize all the available resources to execute what has been given to you. And the fact of the matter is that Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, since he joined our front line in 2008 till now, has led the advocacy in these non-traditional areas to boost our numbers, and is improved and is overturned. It's turned the tide in our favor in these areas, and is evident. And as a party, we can clearly see how much personal value he brings to the table. In the 2016-2020 elections, I mean, very few people would doubt the fact that his individual efforts, his personal contribution as a running mate, comparative to all other running mates we've seen in the past, contributed to about 40 to 45% or even more in our electoral fortunes. He was all over the place. At some point, the running mate, was even more sought after than even the candidate himself. And when you have a running mate like that, with that kind of personal value, it boosts the effort and the chances of the political party. If you have a running mate that on his own is able to stand and drive the numbers towards the party, that is the sort of advantage we get in the vice president. I mean, we've seen several running mates. We've seen several vice presidential candidates. And it's obvious, it's clear, without any shred of doubt, that the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, in terms of his performance as a running mate in an election, and then his performance as a vice president supporting the president is unmatched, and that we cannot take it away. So the party people acknowledge that, and they believe that that's a value that we need going into a historic election. We want to achieve something that has never been done before. Again, the vice president hasn't just done this on the quiet. There are specific landmark events and activities that has happened in the period that proves the worth that he brings. If you recall very well, in the 2013 presidential court case.
Yes, the election petition.
Selorm, there's a fine line between losing your political career and saving it if you go and sit in that dock to go and defend over 20,000 electoral polling stations that you were not even physically present. But the vice president said, well, once the party, we've put all these things together and we've established that we have a case, somebody must step up to the plate. And he did that. And if you can recall, a lot of the revelations that the vice president made when he was in the courtroom have impacted directly on the electoral processes in this country. And that is why, for us as a political party, we've been able to be ready and put in place a lot of mechanisms to strengthen our electoral capability since the 2013 court ruling. That's a value that nobody can run away from. His popularity is one that, if we compare to previous vice presidents, unless you don't want to be realistic, you can't run away from it. Until recently, you barely hear people talk about the president and the vice president the way we talk about the Mahamudu Bawumia government. You think about it. During the Rawlings era, we say Rawlings are buying, like they say in G, Rawlings government, Rawlings are buying. Atamels, all over the place. Atamels. John Mahama. Today, you would barely hear anybody mention another Kufuor without mentioning Bawumia. It should tell you something.
No, but that could have a propaganda value, of course, in the US.
Yeah, but that should tell you something.
Yeah, it's because he's part of the problem or he's part of the success.
Absolutely.
And anybody who is trying to say something about this government negative in this sense will want him associated because he's been there.
Because he's been active. Because he's an active player
and
in there.
And because he wants to lead.
Because he's been an active player in there. That is the point. And so you've basically validated what I'm saying.
I see.
It is his activeness in that space. And that is why, for the first time in our history, you hear that even though there's a president, the vice president is always being highlighted in the conversation. He's been there. He's been part of the system. He has not run away from it. He's actively contributed to the successes and the challenges.
People think he's been used. For example, he said a lot of things. I mean, people think it was due to political naivety. A lot of the things he said prior to 2016, etc., have turned out to be things which are difficult to do.
And there are a lot of things that he said that have also been done. And so I always say that we would not just, going into 2024, just sit down and allow people to say a lot. What is a lot? He said a lot of things that have been done. A lot of things in the education sector have been done. A lot of things in industrialization have been done. A lot of things in health have been done. A lot of things in agriculture have been done. So we will talk about the ones that have been done. We'll talk about the ones that have not been done. And then we are going to put everything on the weighing scale to determine which one causes the balance and which one tilts the ties in favor of the people of
Very well. Your candidate has been the unconventional candidate. I mean, Kennedy Agyapong. 3 years ago, many people didn't even dream that he will be running for president. All of a sudden, he decided to run for president, and he's in for the long haul. He was actually number 2 in the August contest. What has he been telling the people? We know about the PhD, but what has been his message to the people, really?
Thank you very much, Selorm. Let me say a good evening to our viewers. You rightly asked, what has he been telling delegates? Basically, it's coming from two sides. He's been telling them what he's done for the party over the years. He's been telling them what he stands for and his vision for the party and government at large. Let me say, going around the country, he sought to let the party faithful understand why coming at this time. As you rightly said, right from the onset, most people were even doubting. Is he going? He's not going. Or probably he's doing the bidding of Alan Chamartin until such a time that he came out to tell the whole country that he's in and in for good. And so people doubted, but you can just testify to the fact that once he came in, the whole game changed. One, he's been telling the party what he's done over the years. The resources he's giving the party to prosecute our campaign, right from President Kufuor days to Nana Akufo-Addo days.
But is it always about resources? Because it appears a lot of the things he's been talking about, have centered around resources.
No.
I mean, he's giving the party X number of motorbikes, X number of pickups, etc. I mean,
no.
Should it really be about that?
If my memory serves me right, most of the MPs, during their primaries, during their election, he had to visit majority constituencies to enable them, propagate the message because of what? Credibility.
He has credibility.
He has a huge credibility within the party and even in the sight of Ghanaians. And so you go to central regions, sometimes late as 1 o'clock in the night, 12, 11. He's helping colleague MPs to sell their message. There's a video going around where he was dancing. It was a video that was captured at Bantama. He's not from the Ashanti region. But he went to assist Asenso to prosecute his campaign. And so with respect to resources...
But he's a member of the NPP and a senior one at that. So if
but how many MPs does that?
But I mean, he's a senior member of the party.
Agreed.
Agreed. Should that be...
How many of the MPs does that? That you see an MP moving from Accra to Eastern, to Central, to Western. How many of the MPs have that character? And that makes him extraordinary. And so realize that his credibility goes far with respect to what message that he carries. And so it's not only about resources, but Selorm, don't forget, resources play a key role during election. Sometimes you have the message, but you do not have the logistics to push the message. And so sometimes people decide to downplay the resources.
But people think the resources he deployed came from the government itself, contracts he won from government, etc.
When NPP was in opposition, who was giving him contracts?
Maybe contracts from the previous NPP government.
Which previous?
Kufuor's government.
But was he the only one who was giving contracts?
Maybe he got a lot.
No, but then it means all NPP contracts should be given to him because we don't see the rest who equally got. Also administering resources to prosecute the campaign, as he does. What he stated he's done. Has anybody come out to say that it never happened? No. Can somebody also come out boldly and say, I have equally given 100 pickups, 150 motorbikes, I've given 40-footer container of used clothing. Has anybody been able to come out as he has? No. So that makes him distinct. He's a member of parliament. How many members of parliament does NPP have? But he's single-handedly stood up to say that this is my resources to the party. And so give me the opportunity and you see how I will do the whole campaign of NPP. He's been complaining that...
But for now, money is not a problem of the NPP. NPP is well oiled, I mean, by virtue of being in power.
Oh, really?
So resources really, I mean, to be fair, it's not a problem for the ruling party. So if it's about resources, I'm not sure the NPP will struggle for resources for 2024.
Selorm, are you sure? Or it's just an assumption?
No, it's true. The party is in power and people have money.
Sometimes I do not want us to create the impression that when you are in power, you fund your campaign with state resources. I don't want to believe that. But I don't believe the party is that resource to give every member of parliament the resources they need to prosecute their campaign. And so if an individual has this trademark of funding his own members of parliament with resources for them to maintain and win another seat, that tells you is distinct beyond the contribution to the party.
People think that your candidate, Kennedy Agyapong, is a bit rough. I mean, appears bitter sometimes and quite entitled because of the things you're talking about.
Not
he's
really.
done this for the party.
Not really.
He's done that for the party.
Not really.
So he has to be the candidate.
No, not really.
He doesn't come across like
he's coming with a message of hope and a message of development.
But are we hopeless?
Currently, a lot of people feel down.
How?
The level of unemployment in the system. I keep telling
you. But the government came to power on the back of job creation.
They have
jobs, agenda for jobs.
They have done some. But we need to accelerate the job creation. Because as I tell you, just ended national service. About 130,000 graduates were out. You get it? So the government have done some. No doubt
but
about
his government has been in power. Is it that he suggests things and they don't take it?
He said it several.
That do this and they won't do it. And
he said it several. That there are instances that he's offered some solutions, but because it's not within the corridors of power, it hasn't been executed.
Corridors of power means what? He has access, doesn't he?
He has access, but it's not on the decision-making table.
Yeah, but does he yes.
Cabinet means it's not there.
There are people who are not a cabinet, but who are powerful enough to get their ideas through.
You can offer. You can offer. That is the best you can do.
Yeah, but the guys are cabinet too. I mean, if there's the same thing.
Yes,
in the end, it may come down to
I keep saying that you can offer. This is what I feel we can do to accelerate job creation. You've offered. It is up to the power brokers that at the decision-making table, it is considered and thorough discussion was given to it, and then we'll move further. And that is the reason why he keeps telling people that he came into the race so that the things he's been talking about, which are pragmatic in nature, he himself will lead to ensure we crystallize them so that the ordinary person, the youth, will have hope when it comes to employment. And so he's been talking about his vision for the youth, his vision for the country. That is how come you mentioned the PAD. Those are the pillars. If he talks about the PAD, he talks about the pillars upon which he will accelerate growth. He talks about patriotism, honesty, and he talks about discipline. Beyond the policy directions of agriculture, agri-mechanization, tourism, engineering, ICT, all those things, the pillars which will drive them are the PAD. He's talking about being patriotic. That if we have people who are patriotic with respect to the job they do, with respect to responsibilities given to them, the love for your country, then one, you are moving towards a direction. Because when you are entrusted with responsibility, the love you have for your country, you will discharge faithfully. If you are honest, then resources deployed will be ensured that it goes to satisfy what it must be done. If you are disciplined, then resource implementation or resource usage will not be leaking through people's hands. So these are the pillars he talks about. Then when these pillars are founded properly, then you move into what? The agriculture, you move into what? Mechanization. And these are things he has done as an individual. He has a starch factory in the Atebubu. He has a farm of cassava, 30,000 acres. And so these are things he has done. He's experimented them, and he feels that
he's done all of this, but it doesn't mean it doesn't appear the people are necessarily happy with that. You can be a businessman, you can create a lot of jobs, but it doesn't mean you should be president. So, for example, in the August superdelegates contest, he came a distant second. Yeah. While Dr. Bawumia was around 629
votes. It was to be expected.
I mean, he came around 132.
It was to be expected.
How?
Oh, the electoral college for the superdelegates was known. I mean, you have regional chairmen, ministers, CEOs who were doing public declaration in respect to where the allegiance
but he could also have had people to publicly declare for him.
During the intro, you use the word established candidate.
Establishment candidate.
Yes,
it's a term that then is.
But you see, sometimes
doesn't like me to use.
Sometimes we would say we don't want to hear them, but I do not real. When you have all CEOs supporting a candidate, you have ministers supporting a candidate.
But even in his own central region, where he talks much about, he lost that to.
But I keep telling you that these are. So when we say established candidates, there are people who have allegiance to the government in power. So if you have people within the central region and ministers and those...
And you think that we will not see a reflection of these same numbers?
We are moving into a 200,000.
Yeah, so so for example, the MPs, they have polling station executives that they sponsored to vote for them.
But how many of the MPs have sorted their needs? That's the question you should be asking. If you're an MP and you sponsored me into a polling station officer and I've been hungry for the past 7 years, and you say because of that you are going to buy my conscience to vote for you, you haven't been fair to me.
I see.
So those are the fundamental questions that the delegates are asking. That, okay, you are an MP, you are a CEO. How many of my lives have you transformed? People's kids finished the university, unemployed. People want police and they are still at home. So these are fundamental questions that the delegates are asking. And for me, the 203,000 are the majority. I know those who voted in the superdelegate are going to vote the same line. But the majority of the people, where our candidate base is, our candidate, as I always said, he said they have Dankwa, Buzia, and Dombo. And there's another one, which is the grassroots, and that is where our candidate is.
So your candidate doesn't belong to the Buzia?
No, he doesn't belong to the Buzia.
He belongs to the grassroots.
He belongs to the grassroots. And for him, that is where his strength is. All the things they've labeled against him, hasn't been a fight for the grassroots. And so that is where his strength is. So for us, we're just waiting for the November 4th. But let me tell you, seriously, Selorm, where we are now as a country, the personality of Kennedy Agyapong and his vision resonate with the youth and the masses of Ghanaians. I'm sure.
We'll look at that
right.
when I return from this break. His personality and what it brings to the table, whether he looks presidentialist or transits are presidential. This is the point of view on CTTV, and we're also live on Facebook. My name is Selorm Adonoo. I'm sitting in for a regular host, Bernard Koku Able. We're looking at the NPP and doing a countdown to the November 4 presidential primaries. We're looking at two of the candidates, two front runners indeed. If we have time, we'll touch on the other two, Dr. Bawumia and Kennedy Agyapong. In studio with me is Dennis Miracles Aboagye from the Bawumia team, and then Oliver Amoako from the Kennedy Agyapong team. I'll take a short break, return, and then we'll look at the two candidates. The issue about Kennedy Agyapong's temperament has come up, and a few other things. We'll discuss this when we return. Don't go away.
Whatever the occasion, with ATL, you can never be out of style. ATL, bringing fabric to life.
How do I cope with this heat?
By staying 5 degrees cooler.
Body odor is caused by germs, and on hot days, the sweating and the odor are more. That's why you need to get the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which offers up to 5 degrees instant cooling sensation.
This advert is FDA approved.
Yeah, welcome back to the point of view. We are looking at the NPP and what lies ahead of them on November 4. That's just this coming Saturday. They are going to elect a flag bearer to election 2024. The NDC, their major contender, sometime last year, or was it this year, elected their candidate, John Mahama, and he appears to be doing a lot of groundwork. The NPP, though in government and have incumbency advantage, they are yet to do theirs. So that is what it is, and it appears that a lot is being said about that. My guest in the studio, Dennis Miracles Aboagye from the Bawumia team, and then Oliver Amoako from the Kennedy Agyapong team. We'll be joined by Atta Kennedy soon on Zoom to take his views on some of the matters we are discussing. Dennis, the vice president's name has come up many times, and you know it. Many people think that the way he was sold to us, it's not how he has delivered. He was sold to us as the economic messiah. And indeed, Akufo-Addo as candidate said that he was bringing him, because of his fine brain, to help him transform the economy. I mean, 6-7 years on, I can't say confidently that our economy has been transformed. If anything, I thought things have rather turned south. We blame COVID, we blame Ukraine, but the fact on the ground is that things have not been as promised. In fact, the NDC left us with a debt to GDP ratio of around 56-57%. We took it to 104% sometime last year. We are now hovering around 80-something. It's clearly not the case we wanted. Inflation, you know, it went to 54%. We are somewhere around 38 or 40%. You know, all these were not the things they told us. And inflation was around 16%, but your candidate flayed Mahama for it. And now here we are, hovering around 40s. And so people think that he has no credibility to want to talk about the economy and things like that, which really should be his strength.
I think that there's this point that I've always made, that leadership or efficient leadership is not the absence of challenges. True and efficient leadership is the presence of the courage and commitment to mobilize the people in the midst of challenges.
That's quite philosophical.
No, but that's the reality. Because you can never write away unforeseen things. Between 2017 and 2020, the story was different, and you admit it. 2017 and 2020, the story was different.
There are others who say other things.
No, but the story was different. It was on a positive trajectory.
People said there were underlying serious difficulties or conditions, which COVID only exposed.
Which, of course, which has never been a lie, because our economy has always been the case. And that is why when we came, between 2017 and 2020, almost everything we did was to set those fundamentals and face those underlying conditions. But they take a while. Those things cannot be done in 2 or 3 years. Then, out of the blue, out of nowhere, the world encountered something that had not been seen in the last 120 years. COVID, which is a fact, which derailed almost everything. This was at a time where we were trying to fix the underlying conditions. Remember the issues with the banking sector cleanup.
That remember the issues. People think government didn't even handle it well.
Well, today, you know, if we say we're going to pick them one by one, I don't know where that time will allow us. But we had a banking sector where people could go to the bank 2-3 times in a week and not be able to even withdraw their money. That was the situation. That was the reality. And the viewers watching our way, go and ask the customers of GN Bank. Go and ask the customers of Unibank. That was the reality. We had a banking sector where even after government has spent so much money, how much money did the government give to the Capital Bank? The one that Atuesian is in jail for. That was the money from the people of Ghana. That was the taxpayers' money. Over 600 million Ghana cedis carried, given to the banks to recapitalize. What happened? They squandered the money. The banking sector had always been a mess way before we came to office. Our job is to strengthen it and fix it once and for all. Today, talk to the bankers. They will tell you that we have a more resilient banking sector than we've had in the past. Look at what we went through with the DDDEP. I am very sure that if we had not fixed the banking sector like we did in the past, the banks would not have been able to survive it. And almost all the reviews you do, almost all the reviews you read from the banking sector will tell you that we have a more stronger, more resilient financial sector than we had in the past. It was a necessary evil. It was something we had to do to save millions of depositors' money. That is the reality. I hear people say that we didn't have to spend that money, could have given to the bank. The state had already advanced money to the bank, which still did not fix the situation. So when we discuss the issues, we must look at it holistically. Nobody anticipated COVID. Then out of nowhere, when we're on the positive trajectory in every single indicator within the macroeconomy, COVID hit us. Something that every other country is going through it. Mention one country that is not going through it. Of course, at different scales.
Different scales.
But every country is going through it. But the economies were never the same. When Ivory Coast inflation was at 0.65 in 2016, I was at 17%. So today, if I was at 38% and Ivory Coast is at 9%, you cannot go and pick the Ivory Coast nominal figure of 9% and look at 38 and say, we have done worse. We haven't, because they were doing 0.65 before COVID. So if you want to understand how COVID has impacted all countries, look at that. US, they've seen a 40-year-old inflationary hike. UK, they've seen same. They are all struggling one way or the other with various degrees. Yes, exactly. But varying degrees. Yes, but the principle, the underlying principle is that something
will happen.
Exactly.
But how you respond,
not necessarily.
Or how the resilience of your system.
Exactly, the resilience.
Will matter,
the key word
so
is resilience.
So the point is that our system was not resilient.
Exactly. We had
contrary to what we were told, that the economy was being fixed.
We told you that the economy was not resilient.
The economy was to be fixed in 18 months.
We told you that the economy was not resilient, and there were certain things.
Going to be fixed in 18 months.
There were certain things that had to be done to fix it. Key of them was the fact that we need to produce domestically, and we've started. The blueprint is there. We've shown working. As a matter of fact, this government is the only government in recent times that has a specific program towards industrialization. See what we are doing with the automobile sector. See what we are doing with the automobile sector. See what is happening there. See what is happening with the little things that we used to import. Albeit we haven't been able to reach the percentage that is needed. So the vice president is not running away from the challenges. What the vice president is doing is to sincerely acknowledge the challenges and say, listen, unlike in the past, when we encountered economic challenges and the government then said that they had no way to help us, and so if we cannot deal with it, we should jump out of the kitchen.
Who said that?
Of course, the National Security Minister then, is it Bevlo Lati or one of them, Nunu Mensa also, said that if the kitchen is hot for you, jump out. I'm sure you remember that. And then you remember the minister, Alhaji Rashid Pepu, who said that the youth who are looking for jobs should go and cut grass and put by the
that was in reference
you also remember
to people with no skills.
But they said it.
But I should put it in context. That was in reference to persons who had no skills.
So that's why people who have no skills are benefiting from TVETs.
Yeah, of course. But people who are beyond TVET
no,
education.
there is nobody beyond
the people who have never been to school.
Nobody beyond
who have never been to school are
old. There is
old.
nobody beyond TVET.
Very well. Let me go to Zoom.
If you want to build a country.
I'll come back to you. Let me go to Zoom and speak to Dr. Arthur Kennedy. He's been on for a while. Hello, Doc. It's been a while. Welcome to the Point of View. And we've been having a discussion in respect of your party and the big conference ahead of you on Saturday. Do you think that every delegate or all delegates, as we speak now, 2-3 days to time, have made up their minds already?
Probably, except for a few. But I actually think that the nominating conference is a sideshow. At the end of the day, I think the departure of Alan plus the kind of substantive complaints that Honorable Kennedy Agyapong has made about the process has devalued the NPP. To begin with, they started with a very weak hand, a government that had, in effect, missed most of its promises. And I think that all what the NDC would have to do is to show videos of government officials, especially the vice president, making promises. Then when they finish, ask my fellow Ghanaians, are you better off than you were 8 years ago? And that will be the election right there. The question is, what is going to be the MPP's fiction or spin? And actually, I give credit to the young man there, Mr. Aboagye. He's doing a very good job presenting a very bad case. It reminds me of Squealer of Animal Farm making the case for those who are in charge of Animal Farm. This thing stinks to high heaven, and the MPP actually have a lot of gumption coming to persuade Ghanaians that it has done a good job. I actually think that the nominating contest will be a sideshow. The question is what the message is going to be.
I see. What do you think that delegates really will be looking out for? I mean, you have 4 people. We say 2 of the persons are front runners, even though the others will not be happy with that description or characterization. What do you think the delegates will be looking out for, given that, I mean, we're in a tough economic situation, etc.? What should the delegates be looking out for in any of the candidates before they go into the polling booth?
They should be looking for the national interest rather than for who will give them money. They should be looking for the MPP's interest rather than the interest of those who have led the most vibrant political party in sub-Saharan Africa to the edge of bankruptcy and discredit. That's what delegates should be doing.
I see. But the point is being made that the party or the government was doing very well before COVID. Of course, others have said the economy had underlying challenges which were concealed, and that COVID only exposed it. But at least for a lot of people, the economy was doing okay. The indicators were or appeared fine, and COVID hit, followed by Ukraine war, which is still ongoing, etc. This undoubtedly, has impacted the economy. Can't the government, and Bawumia especially, who has led the economic team of government, be excused on the basis of these 2 global catastrophes that has hit the world, or that have hit the world?
Actually, I've heard some words say that very soon the MPP will add the Israeli and Palestinian war to the list of excuses. I mean, let's be serious. As a result of COVID, the government got $3 billion from external funders. In addition to that, the government imposed a COVID tax that it is yet to remove. And yet we keep making COVID the excuse. Why? Did it just happen to Ghana? And I heard Mr. Aboagye mention the United States. Unemployment rate here is at unprecedented low levels. people can't even find workers to hire. That is the reason why people all around the world are trying to get here. So please, don't try and compare what is happening in America to what is happening in Ghana. Let's stick to Ghana. I'm just saying that the MPP, even before the primary season started, had a very weak hand because of the government's record. And not only that, the primary process has discredited the government and the party in terms of our openness, our alignment to our democratic principles, and credibility with the Ghanaian public.
But Doc, this issue about the primary process is affected the credibility of the party, etc. I don't seem to understand, because, of course, such a huge election.
Why don't you seem to understand?
No, I'm making a point. Such a huge elections. I mean, one or two instances or incidents could happen. The election was open. People voted the way they wanted to vote. At least for all, I mean, nobody has really come out to say they were forced to vote this way or that way. So what exactly about that election do you think discredited the MPP?
Well, first, a peaceful primary election shouldn't lead to people losing their eyesight. It shouldn't lead to people being chased out. It shouldn't lead to people being compelled to show their ballots before they cast votes as evidence that they voted for a particular candidate. It shouldn't lead to one of the major candidates leaving the party, and it shouldn't lead to the person who is running close to the person who is being coronated complaining every chance he gets that the process is unfair. And actually, in my view, Kennedy Agyapong has done far more damage to the MPP's credibility than Alan did by leaving.
I see. So, mentioning Kennedy Agyapong, the very final question before you go. Between Kennedy and Bawumia, which of these two candidates is more likely to beat Mahama? Say that again. So I mean, what does it mean? That they both cannot beat him, or what?
Of course, because what are they going to run on?
Really?
I mean, it's not, what are they going to run on? I mean, to the extent that the government has failed, apart from Nanadu himself, Dr. Bawumia, regardless of who he is going to take the brunt of the blame. And if by some miracle Kennedy Agyapong were to beat him, people will remind everybody that he has been a member of parliament and has benefited from a lot of the contracts awarded by the government that has made the public unhappy. So
I see. I wish we could talk more, but thank you so much, Dr. Kennedy. But people still wonder whether you are still a member of the MPP, because your views really do not align to views of MPP people. What's your status in the party now?
Actually, that's a very bad question. You introduced me as a member of the MPP, so it sounds strange that you should ask me whether I'm a member of the party.
No, I'm saying so because of the views you have expressed.
The party, I am not one of those people who in Aboagye, their constituents will resign in their hearts. If I want to resign, I'll resign boldly. I'm staying to fight and save the remnants of the party.
I see. That's nice. Thanks so much, Dr. Kennedy. Let me say it again, leading member of the New Patriotic Party. He's in the US and he's doing quite a number of things there. I'll take a short break. I'll return and then we'll speak to Oliver and then nobody. We'll speak to Oliver, we'll speak to Dennis, and then we'll speak to a few other people, and then we will Dr. Ateku, and then we will call it a day. We'll be right back.
Intestinal worms may cause itching, abdominal pains, loss of appetite, and anemia. Intestinal worms may enter the body through improperly cooked foods, dust, or contaminated soils. Wormplex 400 is an effective dewormer for both adults and children and can be taken at any time of the day. It is recommended to deworm periodically. 1 tablet of Wemplex 400 kills intestinal worms, roundworms, hookworms, tapeworms, and other intestinal worms. I recommend Wemplex 400 to you because it has worked for my family. Lactating mothers, pregnant women, and children under 2 years should consult their physician before taking Wemplex 400.
Wemplex 400. Yeah.
Wemplex 400 as soon tamfo. This advert is FDA approved.
Finally, anyone can become a household.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You Go Flip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand a chance of winning a house or cash or consolidated prizes, such as savings towards a house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win. Flip it or own it. You Go Flip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
You're welcome back to The Point of View. My name is Selorm Adonoo, sitting in for a regular host, Bernard Kokuable. Tonight, we're looking at the NPP and what lies ahead of them on Saturday, November 4. They are electing a flag bearer to face John Mahama of the NDC, who was elected many, many months ago, and it's been on the ground. I guess so. My guest in the studio, Dennis Miracles Aboagye of the Bawumia campaign team, and Oliver Mwakun from the Kennedy Agyapong campaign team. We just spoke to Dr. Arthur Kennedy, a leading member of the NPP, and he thinks that none of the two will beat John Mahama. But those were his views. Dennis, you were on the floor when I interrupted you. So let's quickly wrap up.
There is nothing more tiring than having individuals who claim to be blood actually always cut you and try to pump your blood out. In all reality, that is what the NPP is going through in these particular elections. And having gone around the country with the vice president, I think the party people know what to do. They understand clearly what they need to do to protect and save their party. I continue to listen to individuals like Dr. Arthur Kennedy, who for almost about 10, 11, 12 years haven't contributed any single positive input to the NPP, and yet always. But he has some nice words for you. He said he thinks always try to parade himself as even a member of the party, and you can see the sort of things he does. The fact of the matter is this: we're having one of the most transparent, one of the most open and free and fair elections we've had in recent times. But Oliver and his team disagree. I have been a polling station youth organizer. I've been a polling station chairman of this party. I've been a constituency deputy youth organizer of this party. I've been a constituency youth organizer of this party. I've been municipal chief executive in my municipality. I've been campaign manager in my constituency twice. I understand this party, even at my young age. I have seen a lot of things in this party.
And you think what we have now is the best ever?
Tell me, if you like, ask him. Let him mention to you 3 things that he thinks is going on with this process that is bad. The fact of the matter is that when you are losing the battle, you have to hold on to everything, hold on to any straw you can find and make excuses.
I see.
The party people are watching.
And they know what
they've been listening. They've been paying attention to the conversations. The commitment to salvage our party, the commitment to make sure that we make history come election 2024 is resolute. And nothing can change that.
Very well.
We would just sit back and continue to watch individuals in this party, continue to piece in, no problem. But we'll come out of it.
Very well. Oliver, people think that Kennedy Agyapong is too temperamental. It's not presidential. His temperament is not presidential. Look at how he made that showdown comment, for example. He was somewhere, somebody just gave him information, he took a phone, called a radio station, and all that came out. You know, was that presidential? How do we give the reins of power to a person who doesn't appear to have control of his emotions, you know?
So before I even move on, I think Dennis made mention of an issue, what do we feel that are not fair in terms of the processes? I think he is aware that the party gave a directive that members of a certain caliber within the party should not go out doing public declarations. I hope he's aware. Which people flouted it.
People who MPs?
Not MPs.
Or chief executives?
You have regional executives doing public declaration. Is it not in breach of directives? I'm asking you. You should answer.
No, so that's the work of the party executive.
So he asks a question. What are some of the things that in the process we feel are not being fair, which are not fair? And I said,
let me answer.
Please, I'm coming. Please. I'm coming. I'm only putting on record that these are things that has happened. I didn't say you answer.
So deal with my question of the temperament.
I'm coming there. People have raised issues about his emotions and his temperament. And I always keep telling people that I feel it's about style. You get
style?
It? Yes. There are people who are very slow to speech. Alan talks gentle. He talks very calmly. There are people who speak quite in the firebrand by nature. So I believe his style.
And he insults. I mean, he can just go off and say things.
So some, you see, he keeps even referring to some of these things, quoting the scriptures. That sometimes you see people you think they should know better, who feels in their mind they are more wiser than you. So sometimes
so you'd be happy to see your president use those words, insulting people,
you see,
all those things.
I must admit, sometimes you may feel that to some extent he's human. Let's not downplay it.
That appears to be the general, not the exception.
No. You haven't seen Honorable Kennedy Agyapong in a very calm nature before.
No, but the job of presidency it's not very calm. They are precious, they are emotions.
Yes, I agree. But I'm coming. He just wakes up in the morning and then he's just angry with everybody. You get it? So sometimes he will be emotional because of what? The event and the seasons. You get people who is being abused. You get people who is being maligned. Injustice being meted out to people. And when a person comes out to talk about it, he say, he's emotional. Everybody is emotion. I'm telling you, I'm not sure you've seen Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. I remember when Parliament were having this front and back, when people were arguing. You saw his nature, when he was rather calming people. So it is not a nature of him. It is one thing leads to the other. But before you see him responding, then an injustice is being meted out.
So he's been saying that he's not Alan. He won't take some things lying down. What things? What things?
Alan, for instance, what happened to him? Felt that he is not comfortable with what was going on.
So what will he do?
So he just fall out.
Yeah. So what can do? What can have done?
He will stay and talk about it.
And what happens? Nothing changes. What does he do?
He will continue to talk about it for people to appreciate the fact that injustice is ongoing. You get it? So sometimes I keep telling people that why are we not looking at the root cause of the issue? Rather, we are interested in the reaction that somebody, but what about the person from the other side making out injustice? You know what I talk about? You know,
after Saturday, in case he doesn't win, what happens?
He said it time without number that he will accept and congratulate doctor and will move on once it's premised on the fact of what? Fairness and justice. I told you during the show, during the break, that peace and unity is an output.
And the input must be there.
The input must be there.
But the input is not inputting.
So if you are not inputting, why do you complain of the output not being... You get it? So if you are complaining of the output of unity, of peace, then you must equally be championing justice and fairness and transparency.
Do you have a figure in your mind, percentage to win by?
For us, we believe in the delegates and we know we are winning.
You are winning. So,
yes.
Okay, very well. Then it's the very final one to you. People think that people are disappointed really in the president, and Bawumia tags along with him. I don't know what he thinks, but it appears he has to tag along to win the support of the president's supporters. How difficult is he doing that? Also bearing in mind that he must reach out to his own people and give hope to people.
I disagree with you when you say people are disappointed in the president. That's not premised on any facts, on any empirical.
The people are not disappointed in the president.
It's not premised on any empirical evidence. So that's I very many.
Well, he promised to transform the economy. He promised to put money in our pockets. He promised to create jobs, agenda for jobs. That really hasn't changed.
He promised a lot. He's done a lot more than a few that are outstanding.
I see.
But it doesn't mean that you have no empirical evidence to prove The only proof.
So the empirical evidence in your pocket.
The only proof will be in the ballots. The people's views will show in the ballots, and as it stands now, they voted in 2020 and voted for him over Emily. So you cannot say that. So, but moving on, I think that you see one of the things we need to understand in all of this, and I speak to the party people, I speak to the delegate. That's where my focus is right now. Is that the party people pay very close attention to some of these utterances. You continue to ask the Kennedy guys, when you talk about injustice, unfairness, what is it? What is it? They never are able to mention any specific thing. There is nowhere, the party has never issued any directive that if you're a regional officer, you are this, you cannot declare. In fact, the only people who cannot declare their support for a candidate are those who are conducting the elections, which are the national officers.
Very well.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with anybody in this party advocating for a cause that they believe in.
Very well.
Your job as a candidate is to be able to lobby and get a lot more influencers on your side so they can support you.
Your guys say they are opposed.
Otherwise, it's just a
about
defeatist point.
About 80%. Is that what you're looking at?
No, we are doing nothing less than 70%. I mean, that is the official position we always.
Very well. All right. So this is how we end to this edition of the program.
Opportunity to run. We started with him.
Okay. So 2 seconds.
For me, let me just say that. As we move to November 4th, no intimidation, as it has clearly been stated. The guidelines must be followed to the letter because some of the individuals are using a clandestine way to camp people, giving them food in their houses, sending them. But I believe that if there is fairness, there is justice, peace will prevail.
Very well. So this is how we conclude our program today. My name is Selorm Adonoo. I'm studying for Bernard Addai. We will look at the NPP and what lies ahead of them on November 4th. Have a good evening.